Well, tennis fans, in the world of tennis, we have what you would call, from a topic standpoint, an embarrassment of riches for tonight's show. An exciting show indeed, Bierhall Freitag edition, late night. It's going to get crazy in here later, so stick around for this incredible show that we have ahead of you. But like I said, we've got an embarrassment of riches. I don't even know where to start with the tennis news today. Of course, we could start with number one. This was an amusing one. The protester, European protester girl who showed up and zip-tied herself to the net. She was actually, we got a close-up here. She was protesting lack of Roger Federer on the Grand Slam scene. We haven't seen him for quite some time. He hasn't been around the last couple of years. We're upset too, but maybe don't zip tie yourself to the net. It did cause quite a distraction, about 15-minute delay. We could talk about that. We could talk about the most shocking and obvious story, which is, of course, the ongoing tragedy, real-life tragedy. Not like the fake one Holger Rooney's living out Hamlet style, but a real-life tragedy going on with Sasha Zverev, and, of course, the way the match played out for him. Truly horrific scenes today. No one ever wants to see a tennis match finish that way. We could talk about that. That's the obvious thing. We could talk about this one, to me, the biggest story of the whole thing, what Rafa has done, because I'm saying this assuming that he was going to win even without Zverev. We'll never know for sure, but I will make a case today in the show with some stats and some clips from the match. I'm going to show you, highlighting why I think Rafa was going to find a way to gut this one out and win it no matter what. Maybe we would have had an injury pop up for Rafa. Maybe we would have had a Tsitsipas Australian Open 2 sets down, comes back to win in best of 5 situation that we had not too long ago at the Australian Open with Tsitsipas and Nadal. Who knows? But take a look at this. We could talk about this highlight for a long time. I mean, this stat, this is the average bounce of Rafa's forehand at the tournament so far. 1.25 meters. That comes out to 4 feet and 1.25 inches. Take a look at the average contact height for Zverev, 1.18 meters. That's 3 feet, 10 inches. Just a few inches higher, the average bounce. But today it was so humid with the roof closed from start to finish for this match, and had to finish that way because that's their rule. If you start with the roof closed, due to rain outside, even though the rain cleared up and the weather would have been more favorable to Rafa, they played in the most humid conditions that Rafa has played in yet. I mean, you saw all the sweating going on out there. So that means Rafa's ball would have come down even lower on the forehand, putting it right in the Zverev strike zone, maybe a little lower than where his average contact point has been. So, yeah, that was not a good stat for Rafa Nadal, yet he somehow found a way to win this match. And I'm saying that assuming he was going to keep winning. We could do that, or we could also go to the biggest story for us here at Coffee Break Tennis. An embarrassment of riches indeed on this Bierhall Freitag. We could talk about Casper Ruud has finally done something so great that we have no excuse but to play the Casper Ruud Boy song for a very long time. I mean, it's not Rublev, not Tsitsipas or Zverev, not Yannick Sinner, as I would have thought, in the French Open final coming up soon, but it is Casper Ruud who makes a French Open final. Breaking out, taking a big one for the next gen. But cut that song. We're not going to go with that. We're going to go with this song instead. Welcome to an exciting inaugural edition of Who Wants to Be a Coffee Break Tennis Millionaire? To win the money, you must answer one question correctly. What was the most shocking event of the 2022 tennis season? A. Rafa Nadal wins the Australian Open. B. Casper Ruud, not Rublev, not Alcaraz, makes the final of the French Open. C. Meghan and Harry go to the Queen's Jubilee. D. Sasha Zverev annihilates the ligaments in his ankle. Or E. Peter Freeman was at the match today and actually was revealed to be Casper Ruud's father.
Casper Ruud boy. Casper Ruud boy.
Think carefully about your answer on Who Wants to Be a Coffee Break Tennis Millionaire. A, B, C, or D? Well, it could be A. Rafa won the Australian Open. That was pretty shocking. Casper Ruud making it. Pretty shocking indeed. Meghan and Harry getting the invite to the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. Couldn't have guessed it myself. Sasha Zverev, what happened to him? One of the biggest surprises in the history of sports. E. Peter Freeman hiding a secret from all of us at the match today, being Casper Ruud's father. I don't think it could be topped.
Casper Ruud boy. Casper Ruud boy. He likes the Pokemon. He likes the Pikachu. He likes to play the tennis for me and you, yeah. Casper
This was the shirt.
boy.
This was the shirt. Federer had this on when he beat Casper Ruud Was it 2019 when we made that song? 3-year-old song. We've been waiting for a big Casper Ruud moment. Man, what a show. Embarrassment of Riches Day. Bierhall Freitag. Mr. Goat's in the SoundCloud. Mr. Goat in the SoundCloud technology booth. Can you switch the music, please? Turn off the Casper Ruud song and switch it to the Bierhall Freitag music, please. This damn cat, I tell you, ever since his life-saving surgery, that cost a lot of money, hasn't been able to do anything. Hasn't lifted a claw or a paw to help out with any of the chores or duties of the household. Anyways, we'll do the music manually, switch that over. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of Bierhall Freitag. Hallo und willkommen. An exciting edition of Bierhall Freitag. You know what that means. Well, if you don't know what that means, then I'll tell you. Bierhall Freitag is when we go through a literal smorgasbord, an embarrassment of riches of comments. And we'll take any comments, even if you're a rowdy football fan out there. Normally, we don't let those types come onto the show, but we'll take anyone onto the show. If you have a question, you have a comment, anything that looks interesting to me, and you put it down below, we take it. We got a ton of them. We'll get into that later. But the most, I want to talk about the Rafa and Zverev match. And that's definitely what we're going to do first. But don't forget the festive... I'm going to be belching more than usual thanks to this Löwenbräu München mug I got here. I didn't quite have enough beer to fill it up. This thing's pretty big. But we're going to be here till I finish that at least. And we'll be going to that after we get through what happened in this match. I've got a lot of great clips. I think we don't really need to get into Marin Cilic and Casper Ruud too much, but I have a lot of match notes in here that I had written down while I was watching the match, so I'll get to a couple interesting points from that match. But, of course, let's go to some clips, and let's talk about what happened with Sasha Zverev and Rafa Nadal, because I think this achievement may be even more impressive than beating Djokovic in some ways. I mean, obviously, some people are outraged right now that I just said that. It's like, what are you talking about, Matt? He didn't have to do anything. I mean, he won the first set. Looked like he probably was going to win the second set, too. I mean, when you look at the stats, Nadal was ahead in this thing and enough metrics to think he could have kept up. But we'll never know. We'll never know if Rafa was going to run out of steam. I mean, there were moments, but at the same time, against Djokovic, it looked like that, too. In the second set, he's blowing his lead. He never even really got much of it. Did he break and hold? I think Rafa did. I think he just broke and then got broken right back for 1-1 in the first set. I want to say that's how it went down. I can't remember now. In the second set, beginning of the second set. I can't remember now. But he looked like that against Djokovic, you know. He had a big lead, much bigger than what he had on Zverev in the second set. And then Djokovic claws his way back, and you would have thought, Nadal's looking tired. We played it in the last show yesterday. It's looking like the conditions are getting slower, and Nadal's getting more worn down from having to hit through these slow conditions. And then he beat Djokovic pretty bad in that third set. And who knows, maybe that would have happened. Or maybe this would have been more like when Tsitsipas came back and beat Nadal. Nadal did everything you thought he needed to do to win. He's up 2-0, and then he just looks tired against a young guy who's really good with a lot of firepower. Maybe something like that could have happened. We'll never know for sure, but let's start off with this tiebreaker. We're not going to go through this whole tiebreak, but we're going to go through the moment where this happened. Sasha was up 6-2. 4 set points in a row. Unbelievable. Nadal wins the first two. I mean, Sasha didn't really do much wrong, but look at this one. 6-4. Last point before Rafa gets the serve again. This is over, right?
Would you believe it?
I don't. I mean, it was. That right. I mean, when Rafa hit that, you knew he was going to win the match. We'll never know, of course, but let's just slide through this in slow-mo. Or watch the replay in slow-mo. Rafa is in that corner. Then he gets hit behind. I mean, he's almost in the crowd there. I mean, Zverev didn't put that too far from the line. Did he really do anything wrong? And then just to refresh myself, what happened next? Rafa, second serve. 5-6. One more set point. Here comes second serve. That shot right there, remember, scared the heck out of me because I thought that backhand was going in the net. The drop shot. He's there. And, that's the worst part.
4 points in a row.
Just imagine if you were Sasha Zverev and that happens to you. 6-2 up. Ahead in the entire set, Sasha was ahead in that first set. Always ahead. Unbelievable. That's why I'm saying Rafa is the greatest. I got a comment for Bierhall Freitag later saying, well, look at all these metrics between Djokovic and Nadal and how, Djokovic has been number one in the world a lot longer than Nadal. Okay. Well, we all know the number one thing is the slam record. And the way Nadal comes up with these victories, I mean, there was a time where you could say Djokovic maybe is more mentally tough than Rafa. It looked like that for a little while, but I think when it comes down to it, Djokovic has a lot of great stuff going on for him in his game, and his mental game is obviously very tough, but Rafa's mental game has got to be the greatest of all time right there. And ultimately, that's what this sport is all about. It is a very mental game. The greatest mental giant of our sport's history is probably the greatest player of all time. That's how it's looking to me so far. Anyways, so just imagine you're Sasha Zverev. You've been playing great the whole set. You're up 6-2. Sure, maybe he could have put that last volley away or done something better there. But the way Nadal's playing, the intimidating presence of Nadal, are we really that surprised that from 6-2 down he wins that tiebreak somehow? And then look at this. Let's look at some stats here. The stat on first serve in percentage, 78 in for Zverev, who's just been unbelievable on the first serve. Better than Cilic, who was doing really well on his first serve for the tournament. Nadal 70% first serve in. That's pretty good for him too. Yet, there was only one break each in that first set, but it always felt like Zverev had the edge. And when we look at this stat, this picture here, 10 winners to 1 from Rafa, none on the forehand. I can't remember when exactly in the first set this is, but look at Rafa like way back there. I want to say he had a couple backhand winners at that point, but on the forehand he had one, and it was a drop shot, so I don't even count that. I think this was in the tiebreak or right before the tiebreak of the first set, and Zverev is ahead on the forehand side, 10-1. Yet somehow Nadal wins this. Let's look at some more stats, and we'll talk about how this happened. Getting out hit on the forehand, 133 kilometers to 112. That's a lot. That's a big gap. Okay, I got my clips out of order here, but let's look at these stats for the first set before we talk about the Sasha Zverev second set. I mean, this is a 3-hour match, and it ended at the beginning of a second set tiebreak with something horrific, which I guess we'll have to show a little bit of that clip in a moment. We'll get to that. If you're squeamish, I don't think we're going to show we're not going to show the ankle actually going over, but we're going to show Zverev on the ground, crying out, getting in the wheelchair, all that. Jeez, who would have guessed that? It's subjective, by the way. There's no way to win our Who Wants to Be a Millionaire today. That was great. I'm not liable to give out any money because there's no way to win it because it's a subjective question. But if I had to pick one that was right, I think the biggest shock of the year is probably Peter Friedman at the match being Casper Ruud's dad. You see that? Look at that picture again. Doesn't it look like Pete? Casper's dad looks just like Pete, and they both got a little stubble going on, so I didn't shave like I normally would in honor of Casper Ruud boy. But anyways, the biggest one is definitely what happened to poor Zverev. Some people out there, I'm sure, are saying this might be karma if Sasha Zverev did, in fact, actually beat up the girlfriend. Like I looked at Ben Rothenberger, the New York Times writer guy, contributor, who wrote that. The Times didn't publish it, which is kind of interesting. But I think he self-published it through some kind of tennis magazine that he's a part of with some other tennis people, a passion project of his maybe. I think that's who published that article. But, a lot of people read that article. A lot of people think it might be true. A lot of people think maybe it's not true. Who knows? There's no way to know for sure. But I'm just going to say it. I'm not saying it's right. But I bet a lot of people out there were thinking Sasha Zverev deserved this. This was karma coming back to get him, if indeed he did it. So I don't know. To me, I don't care anyone. You just don't want to see the way that match ended. It was pretty horrific. I guess he didn't have his. I don't think that would have happened if he'd had his ankle taped up. Rafa's got his ankle taped up under the socks. Roger would too. Andy Murray wears the ankle braces over it. Zverev must not do that. I bet he will be doing that when he comes back. We might not see Zverev again for like 6 months. Pretty shocking. And he was so close. If you think about it. Yes, I think Rafa was going to go on to win this match, but if Zverev was ever going to do it, he would have been number one in the world after this win, I think. Definitely if he won the tournament. he would have liked his chances against Casper Ruud in the final. Beating the King of Clay here, becoming number 1 in the world, getting his first major at the French Open, that would have been a nice transition for Sasha Zverev into superstar of the sport, taking over, being the actual next gen who breaks through. And it would have been tough. He would have had a lot of confidence after pulling something like that off. And now, totally different. I mean, a real-life tragedy, like we said in the intro. Anyways, where was I? Let's go to stats. And the match stats are kind of similar to this, but here we go for the stats after the first set. Zverev, way more first serves in, but Nadal winning 69 to 61% win on first serve, so Nadal had a pretty big edge there. Second serve, Nadal, really big edge, 50% won, and Zverev at 29. That's actually wrong right there because they're not counting his 4 double faults. When they say 4 out of 10, it's saying he won 40%. No, actually, if you throw in the 4 double faults, he's won 21% on the second serve. And look at this stat. Here's some quick strike numbers. This is just like in 2020 at the autumn edition of the French Open. Rafa winning 39 to 22 in the 0 to 4 shot rallies. And again, the way that works is 0 is 0, obviously. Number 1 is a serve. Number 2 is Zverev hitting the return back to Nadal. Number 3 is Nadal hitting a winner. That's a 0 to 4 shot rally that he wins. Right? So Rafa's trying to win points quickly. Let's say Rafa's returning. Number 1 is Zverev's serve. Number 2 is Nadal hitting a return that draws an error, or Zverev double faulting. That helped with the 0 to 4 quick strike points. Or Nadal just putting something back, and number 3 shot is Zverev making an error, or Zverev making something that Nadal can hit a winner on shot 4. So 0 to 4, Rafa was doing most of the heavy lifting there. He almost doubled in 5+, 16 to 30. But if you add all those numbers up, I think that puts Rafa +3 overall numbers in that first set. Anyways, let's listen to this next clip. This is a good listener one to listen carefully. After all that, Zverev in a very up and down set. No hold to serve from Rafa yet. Zverev, I think, only 1 at this point. Lots of breaks. Zverev is able to serve for the second set, despite all the bad things that happened to him in that first set, where he was mostly ahead, and then Rafa somehow, 4 set points, all unbelievable stuff. Take a listen to this. Break point, 5-3, only 1 hold.
Yet another break. The 8th of this set.
8th break of the set.
That is astounding.
So in this set, Zverev's 42% on second serve. Is that first or second? First. Jesus, set 2. Really low for Zverev, but far ahead of Nadal. Fault. Zverev's going to go over and check. No, it is not. It's not an ace. In a situation like that, you want it to be so bad, and you know deep down it's not. Here it comes. Come on. Get to it. Get to it. Show us. We all know what's going to happen. What does Zverev do the last 2 years in a big pressure moment where he's ahead?
That is his 8th double fault. 3 in the game.
8.
And it is Rafa Nadal's birthday. That's probably the best gift he's going to receive.
Oh, my God. Well, I hate to say it again. I hate to say something else that some people might be upset, but Nadal got a much bigger gift from Sasha Zverev for his birthday in this match. Nadal's going to win this thing now. Cilic might have had a small chance. I have a great point to get to later. Maybe I'll just hit it up now. I wrote this in my match notes. Marin Cilic is the prototype, the blueprint for Sasha Zverev in many ways. After 2014, we were told that the future of tennis was guys like Cilic, and Zverev is the best version of a guy like Cilic all these years later. Meanwhile, Cilic is officially part of a big 5 that really says a lot about how special of a player he is. His forehand is one of the best. His backhand is not as good as Zverev, but he can blast winners with it with no problem. He's got a great first serve, great second serve, a little choky sometimes, just like Sasha Zverev, but also unbeatable when he plays his very best, just like Sasha Zverev. Don't forget the way Marin Cilic played in 2014 U.S. Open semifinals when he shocked all of us and destroyed Roger Federer, one of Roger Federer's worst semifinal losses in his career, his history at the Grand Slams. And like I pointed out, You know, Marin Cilic, we were told in the future, back in 2014, when he won that US Open, we were saying it's going to be the 6'1" guys aren't going to rule the sport anymore. It's going to be these guys who are like 6'6", 6'5", who move really well, but have a serve more like John Isner on the first serve department. Zverev is our best version of that right now. Juan Martín del Potro, we also could have talked about him back then in 2014, looking at what he did in 2009. These big guys were the big guys that move very well were the future of tennis is what we were told. Well, Casper Ruud might have disproven that theory today, and Rafa for that matter. We know Rafa, after 2014, none of those big guys were able to stop Rafa. Robin Soderling, another reason to think, you know, maybe these big guys are going to be able to beat Rafa on clay at the French, beat Djokovic at the US Open, you know, beat Federer at Wimbledon maybe. It was all thought possible. Milos Raonic did it in 2016, even though at the time maybe we would have thought more evidence of this big man theory taking over tennis. But we know it was really Federer's knee was all messed up, and he came back and won it the next year after his knee surgery. Anyways, was it his knee back then? God, I think, yeah, God, it was knee back then, and it's a knee again. Anyways, Ruud is built from Nadal, right? Nadal is the prototype for Casper Ruud. Casper Ruud is not as good of a version. You could say Zverev is a better version of Cilic, you could argue maybe. Can't really say that about Ruud right now, but he is very similar to Nadal. He's just a right-hander. And that's good news for Rafa Nadal that Ruud's backhand is not nearly as good as his forehand, and he is a righty because, you know, they played the same match today. I just wanted to point that out really quick, though. This proves a theory in some ways. Casper Ruud took out Marin Cilic. Maybe he wouldn't have taken out the better today version of Zverev. But to me, we're in the final here, and we got a guy who plays in the style of Rafa Nadal who looks to me to be like 5'11". Is Casper Ruud 5'11", 6 foot? Not as even. I would say he's a little an inch shorter than Roger and Rafa Novak, inch or two, you know. But he's taken out the big man, Cilic. Rafa, we've seen taken out Zverev. I think he would have done it either way. Maybe it's because he's the greatest of all time. Maybe it's because Zverev is ultimately a choky player and is going to throw in double faults like we just saw at crucial moments. Got another one for you, too. I'll get to that in a second. But just had to point that out. This kind of proves that theory wrong. Like, these guys that are... They can generate enough power, and they're even more mobile at that 6'1" height. I think those guys are still going to be winning slams for the future too. Sure, maybe a guy like Zverev should win some majors. It's going to happen at some point. Some of these big guys, Tsitsipas is pretty big himself. I think he's 6'4", but these guys aren't, you know, keeping all the 6'1" guys out from winning slams for the future. I don't think so. Anyways, where was I at before we said that one? Real quick, Rafa. They played a very similar, something else I wrote in my thing. One big difference, I should mention this is a good point too. Big difference between Cilic and Zverev, they have a lot of stuff in common. In 2014, nobody thought Cilic was going to win. So there was no real pressure. Zverev's got a lot of pressure on him and has throughout his career. And I think that's something maybe we should point out that's really hurt Sasha Zverev over the years. I mean, I hope for his sake that he's able to overcome this and win one of these slams, and Rafa seems to think he will one day. No reason why he won't, but he's going to be out of the game for a while. Anyways, moving on. Another double fault. This is another. After all that. I got my clips backwards. I was going to show you, that was the double fault to finish the game serving for the set. This was how he started. 3 double faults in the game. You heard him say it himself. I think Sasha finished with maybe 10 double faults for the match, or at least 8. We know 8 for sure. Anyways, he started that crucial game with a double fault. And after he double faulted, he yells out, "Yet!" No in Russian. Not a curse word. And he gets the warning, and this is him going to the umpire about this warning. He really didn't. I mean, so much bad luck on so many levels for Sasha Zverev today. How is he going to come back from this? I mean, just to get his ankle right is going to take months. He's not going to be at Wimbledon, that's for sure. We probably won't see him till the US Open or Laver Cup even. He might be coming back with Federer. Federer's returning after US Open, Laver Cup. There it is. There's the play. And that's exactly what it was. Unbelievable. Of course, bad luck for Zverev there, but no worse luck. After the ankle roll, you hear him crying. I don't want to play too much of it. Now, a friend of mine sent me a message saying, I think he's crying out less from the pain and more from the fact that he knows he is not coming back. Take a look at this. In the wheelchair to come off the court. And of course, we all know he came back on crutches. I don't remember ever seeing a tennis player with crutches lifting one crutch at a time to say, goodbye instead of a racket to the crowd, salute the crowd kind of deal. Kind of looked like, what's his name from South Park? Timmy, is it Timmy who's got those things? Timmy. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at all. It's just, it's a crazy, I'm laughing because it's just so absurd. It's so ludicrous. Of course, I'm not laughing about what happened to him. But, yeah, that's the match we got today. I got a clip of them talking about how Mark Woodford, one of the best tennis doubles players of all time, I think he's a 14-time major champion in doubles. He was saying how these are really bad conditions. I'm not going to play it. We've done enough clips. I think you get the point. I will give you one last clip, though. One of the ways, because I don't have the match stats. Let's look at the match stats. Rafa was ahead the whole time in this match, a little bit. Not ahead in aces, obviously, but 1% ahead for the entire match, winning on first serve. Significantly ahead in winning on second serve, 11%. Winners, he's -5, but Sasha's -7. Winners to unforced errors, so just 1 ahead. Total points won, just 4 ahead. 5 breaks apiece. I think Rafa was going to gut this thing out. I don't know if his body would have held together for an entire 5-set match if Zverev could have, evened it up and kept it going. We'll never know, unfortunately. But this is one play I'm going to show you. At the beginning of the clip, I'll freeze frame it for you. They show Mansour Barami, and this is a replay of one of these creative matches, creative points, that Rafa had to put together.
Humid.
Oh, wrong clip. Very humid, they're saying.
And uncanny that the camera flashes on too.
Barami plays this style, obviously. But look at these creative lobs from Rafa. Drop shot, bring him back in. Why not lob him again into the net? That's you're making Zverev play the toughest shot in tennis, like the high backhand overhead behind you. If it's in front of you, you can snap that thing down for a cross-court winner. We've seen Roger Federer do that a lot. He's got a one-hand backhand, so it's a little easier for him than most people. But when you put it behind him, it's kind of isn't really nothing you can do. Rafa, he's the greatest. Rafa's the greatest for now, and I think it might be forever. All right, I had some more interesting stuff, but we got to get out of here eventually. Let's go to Bierhall Freitag commentary, my favorite part of the show. And I get to keep drinking some more of this delicious München beer from Deutschland. Aus Deutschland. Ja, schmeckt gut. You know what also schmecks gut? Thinking about Dominic Thiem. We miss him. Let's go to Blake. Matt, I always appreciate your videos. I just want to say thank you for everything that you bring. I know starting off with a comment like this, but just want to let you guys know how much I appreciate you. So I'm going to start with someone appreciating me and the show. Matt, I appreciate your videos. Just want to say thank you for everything that you bring to tennis commentary from both a comedic and analytical standpoint. Hope that this channel continues deep into the future as it is one of my favorites. Keep up the amazing work. I just wanted to say, sometimes I think like, man, this is so hard. Like, what am I, crazy? What am I doing? Going to bed at 2 in the morning last night, working on a video all night. But I love doing this, and I really love seeing, stuff like this. Seeing the other people out there as maybe close to as crazy about tennis as I am. Maybe they haven't ruined their entire life like I have and dedicated their entire life to a career solely focused on tennis. But I mean, I shouldn't say that. I joke, but maybe I could have made a lot more money doing something different. But I'm on tennis courts most days of my life. During these great tournaments, I'm able to spend. I'm watching tennis for like 20 hours in a week. That's insane. Like, who gets to do that? So I thank you. I thank Blake. I especially thank the Patron Saints, who always keep a little income coming in every month. A little income comes in to Coffee Break Tennis, helps me keep this going, makes it very easy to clear my schedules or do my best. My tennis business has been growing, fortunately for me. So it's been harder this year to clear out some time during the majors, but thanks to those Patron Saints, thanks to nice comments like that, thanks to people out there watching and doing thumbs up down below. It keeps me going, and of course, there's no denying I love it. I love the tennis, watching that. I always think it's going to get old. I think Federer's not been around. I thought I wouldn't want to watch anymore spend this much time watching tennis, but with Rafa and Djokovic and some of these young guys even are growing on me. It's a lot of fun. Let's go to David Cunningham. Western and Southern Open shirt I was wearing in the last video. Yeah, will you be there in August? I'm a marshal there each year. The marshals are really cool. They volunteer. They get to hang around the players and they do an assortment of tasks, but basically they kind of keep their eye on things at the matches around the ground. Some of the smaller courts, sometimes there are a bunch of marshals. Sometimes you might be one of the lucky ones on a big court for a big match. It's pretty cool, and they're mostly people that just love tennis. They get to watch matches. Anyways, David Cunningham is a marshal each year at Cincinnati. And thanks for the comments he wrote. I don't know what he means about that. Did I read a comment from David Cunningham before? I don't remember that. Anyways, I will be there, and if you see me, David Cunningham, please say hello to me. I'd love to talk to you. There's actually a couple people that were marshals that have done the Cincinnati tennis camp that me and Pete do every year during the tournament. It's really fun. We'll be there again in Cincinnati. A lot of my time I'm going to be at these indoor courts in a nice tennis club in Cincinnati. And then a lot of time we'll take some of the people from our camp, or pretty much all of them. We'll have I think our first weekend is going to be like 25 people. It's really fun. We'll take them all to the tournament. It's a blast. So David Cunningham, if you see me and Pete and 25 crazy people that love tennis as much as us, do say hello. Let's go to Tommy Das. Now we start getting into some deep stuff here with the tennis comments. Because let's do some deep dives. Matt, stop living in an illusion. It's the big two now. It's not the big three anymore. Federer is out of the picture. Watching this weak era of next gen guys, and especially knowing how bad they all are in grass. Zverev, I meant to say this before. Our first draw show, great comments pointing out Felix Auger is really good on grass. Because I was talking to Ian and Pete and Joel from Israel, who helped write the book, Essential Tennis, that Ian Westerman I think it just came out, or it's about to come out. I think it just came out a few days ago. Top seller in tennis books on Amazon, by the way. Pick it up. So we were talking about that, and we were saying who's actually good on grass. We're saying, well, Zverev's got a pretty good shot. Well, he's going to be out now. He's not playing Wimbledon. Federer won't be there either, unfortunately. But Felix Auger should point out that he's pretty good. Still, though, if Felix and Federer were playing in the semifinals of Wimbledon, do you really think guaranteed Felix would win? If they can get Federer's knee healthy enough, he says it's feeling good, and the doctors are going to let him play this summer. A lot of people think he's going to retire soon, and a lot of people think that he's going to try to make a push and win another Wimbledon. And with these guys, I still think Federer's got a shot next year if he's moving. He did it on one leg, as Federer's coach said. Or was it his agent, Tony Godsick? A couple weeks ago, I saw this quote. Federer got to the Wimbledon quarterfinals on one knee. One knee was jacked up, and he got to the quarterfinals and lost to Hubie Hurkacz. And he had a decent run. I mean, he beat Cilic. Wasn't that last year? He beat Cilic at the French Open. And then he got out of there after he beat Dominic Koepfer with the roof closed, similar conditions, extremely slow. That hurts him too because he's got a very wristy, explosive forehand that jumps just like Rafa. Not as explosive, but pretty close. I've said this in a video before from Cincinnati. When I'm in Cincinnati, there's a lot of college players there working at the club that I get to talk to. Really, good players, ballers. And some of them have graduated and they're just, maybe they're coaching a college team. This one guy was coaching a team, and he said for years he would be a hitting partner. He'd hit with Nadal and Federer and a bunch of other top pros. And he said, Djokovic is just everywhere. You can't get him off balance because his movement is so good, and the reach, the flexibility and all that. But his ball is kind of average to him just as far as like the action on it compared to other top 100 ATP pros. That Djokovic, the ball he gives you. Still, though, you can never make him uncomfortable, and he's always getting to that next shot, hitting a quality shot against you. He said, but Federer and Nadal, he said their forehands were unlike anything he'd ever seen. There's just the way they jump, the way they spin, and then, of course, he talked about Federer's slice. No one was slicing as good as Federer, he said. Like, that slice was just so nasty that he didn't want to hit a forehand when Federer sliced because he was embarrassed that he wouldn't get it back. It was just too tough to deal with. So he would like run around his forehand to slice Federer's slice back, because when someone's got a nasty slice, a lot of times the easiest way to hit it back is just to try to carve that thing, cut it back as hard as you can. Anyways, I lost my train of thought, but, stop living in that illusion. Why did I say the guy in Cincinnati talking about the difference between them? Because Federer, we saw, how good is Federer last year on one knee also? I think I'm getting this right. Was that when he went to the round of 16? He'd made the round of 16. He'd won 3 rounds. And I think he'd taken out Cilic. Maybe, was it Dirty Dan? I don't know. And he had taken out Dominic Koepfer in a very slow indoor condition. To do that on one leg at his age, Federer will have a chance if he comes back with healthier movement, healthier knees. If both knees are good, he's got a shot. I'm sorry. Jay Sancho, so he's still big three, and he'll always be big three. I mean, they're the greatest of all time. Jay Sancho, one of those soccer fans, I think. We're going to read his. Sad that Zverev was injured, but I am a 100% Rafa fan. Good news that Rafa will be fresh for the final, since I believe that Rafa will win his 14th Grand Slam in Paris next Sunday, and I'm also a fan of Real Madrid. It is funny that Real Madrid just won its 14th UEFA Championship League crown, also in Paris 1 week ago. 14 and 14, both in Paris for Rafa's favorite team, Madrid, and Rafa. It would be a great coincidence. By the way, Rafa is a big fan of Real Madrid. Yeah, pretty wild stuff. I mean, Rafa's got to be loving that. A lot of Spaniards got to be having a great time. And you get Carlos Alcaraz to be excited about in the future. The Spaniards in Paris, man, they're going crazy. Keep that in mind, by the way. Spaniards in Paris. Might have a surprise for you at some point coming up, dealing with that very line you just heard. Anyways, let's move on to great keto goals. Novak definitely gets too much hate. He's unbelievable. I'm a huge Rafa fan. Djokovic always scares me to death when they are about to play. I think that says a lot about Novak right there. I'd be interested in knowing if Djokovic fans are scared of Nadal when they play, being that their head-to-head is even as it gets. Bottom line, they're both the greatest players to ever do it. Well, I can say as a Federer fan, I remember being kind of scared of Rafa after 2008 Wimbledon especially. And even though Djokovic beat Federer 2008 Australian Open semis, then he went and beat him in Miami, and I think that was 08. It might have been 09. But Federer very frustrated. It might have been 09 because Federer just lost to Nadal in that final and said, God, it's killing me. But Federer, that was the last time he smashed a racket at a big match, 2008 or 9 in Miami against Djokovic. Despite that, it still seemed to me at the time, as a Federer fan, that Federer is going to beat Djokovic most of the time still. And Djokovic is going to beat Nadal most of the time. Remember, Djokovic started beating Nadal a lot. So I liked Djokovic for a while. Even with the U.S. Open wins, I wasn't thrilled, but I didn't quite fear him yet. I thought those were kind of flukes and that Federer was going to get him, even after 2011. Twice having match points, Federer, and losing to Djokovic. You felt like it was a fluke. Federer's going to get him next time. They play at Wimbledon. That's when I started really fearing the Joker as a Federer fan. Always feared Nadal. And I think it goes all three ways. Just depends which year we're talking about here. Ted, 88. Borg won 11 of the 27 Grand Slam tournaments he entered, but because players this era play more tournaments, it doesn't make them greater. But Domination said, that must be Dominic Thiem. But he also never played in his later years in which he would be weaker. He did come back. Remember, he tried to come back at Monte Carlo, and he came back with his wooden rackets later in the 80s when everyone else was pretty much not playing with wooden rackets anymore. And he got blown off the court, and it was kind of embarrassing, and the comeback ended. When these guys come back from injury, Federer, Nadal, maybe not as long as Borg. Borg actually retired from the sport, tried not to think about it, I guess. But I know it's a different time, and it just doesn't compare. I'm going to say that these guys are greater, though. I think Bjorn Borg would say that himself. But interesting point from Ted there. I got Jay Sancho again. That goes against everything I believe in to read one person's comment again. But there were comments to it, so I wanted to get to it. Great show, Jay Sancho. I like your explanation of how lower temperature and higher humidity favored Djokovic. Logical as the night progressed, but then why did Rafa win in the third? That third set was very confusing. A lot of people wonder why. A couple comments after. One, Alex, because he is not right. He's saying, I'm wrong. Heavy conditions favor Rafa more in this case because he has more firepower and can more easily hit through them. I mean, does he have more firepower? Because that wasn't what was happening. Remember, in the second set, they said that the stats were showing that Djokovic's ball speed had gone up 5 kilometers in an hour, and the average shot for forehand and backhands averaged together for Rafa had gone down 6. That's an 11-kilometer-hour swing. So that's not true there. And Dennis Daly, who knows tennis very well, just based on the comments I read that he does over the years, Novak lost his focus, and Rafa's kept his throughout the whole match. Then there's another one. I saw another comment that said, kind of building on that idea. This one's from Paul Atling. I don't know if this is the same one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of one where it said, think of going back to Serbia, where Djokovic ran out of gas and lost in best out of 3 to Rublev. Now, remember, they don't have rest days in between those, so it's a little different. And Djokovic had done long 3-set matches, like 3 days in a row before he played Rublev, I think. Or at least 2 days in a row, back-to-back, the day for third day in a row being the Rublev match, where Djokovic did get bageled in the third set or the second set. I can't remember. Anyways, they were saying, Djokovic has been out and doesn't have all of his energy yet. But Paul saying Novak's present ability is overrated. I think there's a little truth to this comment, even though some Joker fans will probably hate it. He's been on the decline for a few years. His status and attitude has helped him with his results. He's always relied on his fitness, and with his advancing age, it's taking its effect. I don't know if it's fair to say that. I think it goes back to Ivanisevic. Djokovic hasn't trained the same way. He surely didn't after what happened in Australia and not knowing which tournaments you're going to be allowed to play. Everything's a little different, and I take you back to like 2017, 2018 when Djokovic really fell apart, lost his confidence, and some people, supposedly he was talking about retiring back then. Anyways, I don't know if it's age, but I think that there is something to be said about status and attitude. I think that helped Federer in some matches where maybe he shouldn't have won, but he was able to gut it out. Maybe that 2018 Australian Open final with Marin Cilic. I mean, it's just the mental game and the attitude and the fact that he is Roger Federer, and it kind of might intimidate some players in some moments. I think Djokovic definitely does. I mean, that helps him. It helped Andre Agassi at the end of his career. It helps all these big legends. But I think advancing age, not so much with Djokovic right now, as opposed, we see what Nadal's doing, and he's beat up, injured, and advancing age more than Djokovic. I think it's more to do with Djokovic not being allowed to really play this year, if you think about it. Ikatrom says, totally understand Grand Slam counts. However, tennis experts cannot avoid talking about other tournaments. Nadal has 21 Grand Slams. Djokovic is 20. It's about to be 22 because Nadal, he had to avoid Zverev. Nadal loves to just keep going cross-court to your backhand on clay, even when the bounce is lower, whatever. Against Zverev, Zverev's backhand, he has to respect that a little, so he can't always do that. Against Casper Ruud boy, Rafa's going to be able to just slap forehands cross-court. It's very obvious from the Cilic match. We just saw, they talked about it constantly during the match. Cilic's best results came when he landed a serve going to the backhand. A lot of times when Ruud was able to break serve, he was getting some forehand returns. The Ruud backhand, it's good, but against Rafa in the final of the French, it's far weaker than his forehand side, and Rafa's going to pummel that thing with his cross. Rafa's got it. Anyways, 38 Masters. Nadal is 36. Yeah, well, Nadal, you got to realize Masters weren't really anything not that long ago. This is a Federer, and even in Federer's beginning career, Masters were not a big deal. They weren't even called that. They had a different name back then. Some of the Masters tournaments were a big deal back then, but only a few of them, not all of them like it is now for this total count. So that kind of hurts this thing for the big three discussion. Yeah, maybe it became a big deal while Nadal and Djokovic were playing. It's a big three era thing, you could say, mainly for them, Djokovic and Nadal, not so much for Federer, because they're 5 years behind Federer. But it's still, in the grand scheme of things, the Grand Slams have been everything for the entire history of the sport, which is fairly close to 200 years of tennis history we've got. What do we got? 150 years, something like that. Anyways, 372 weeks at number one, Nadal 209. Yeah, that's a big one, but Nadal had to play in the toughest era of all time. And 7 years ending number one, Nadal only five ATP Tour titles. Don't forget, Nadal does have Olympic gold, which I don't think Djokovic has. 5 ATP Tour finals, Federer has more, Nadal has 0. Yeah, that's Nadal's worst surface, and it's not a major, so who cares? 63 big titles record, Nadal 58. Nadal is definitely the expert of clay, no doubts, but he is the best player. Hit the music, we're getting out of here. Best player of all time. Really, looking at these stats, I would say certainly not. And John Ocampo points out my point that I have for you. Nadal is the GOAT. It's all about the Grand Slams in the end. All right, we're getting out of here. Thanks for joining us for an exciting edition of Bierhall Freitag. I said I was going to finish this before we get done. I had something else I wanted to read on this, but screw it. I got to edit this video. I'm going to be exhausted. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you guys and nice comments. Sorry if I didn't get to your comment if you had a great comment. Maybe we'll get to you on Sunday after the final. Might be Monday. I don't know when this video is going to come out because I got a great idea for the final video. So it might take me a little time. But do be patient. We will be back after we have our Grand Slam champion. Maybe I'll throw something up about the women's final tomorrow, but I got a lot of stuff going on, and I got to work on my special project for Rafa. Casper Ruud, we'll give him a slight chance, but you know how I feel. It's all about that cross-court lefty forehand from Rafa. Vamo, vamo. I hope the king of clay wins. I don't mind him being greatest of all time, even if I love Federer. I love them both. I love Djokovic. We'll be back. See ya!